Hello, everybody. I'm a couple minutes late. I wasn't watching the time. I was just busy stamping and having some fun. Today, this is all about making Christmas tags for our Technique Time class. And since I have a couple people jumped on, I'm going to do my official beginning, which is, as you all know, good Thursday morning and welcome to Seeing Ink Spots. Today is our Boughs of Holly Sweet Collection Christmas Tags Technique Time stamp class. See if you can remember all that. I'm happy to be here. We're going to stamp 9 really pretty tags today. So, Kat, thanks for the good Thursday morning. I appreciate that. And Jacqueline is on. Hello, Jacqueline. Good to have you here. And so Jacqueline says, "Oh, I love the background." So I am in San Jose. I'm at my parents' house, and the door's open so that the dog can go in and out. And yes, they have a very beautiful yard filled with palm trees and bird of paradise and succulents and all kinds of beautiful, lush tropical plants and things. And then they've got a great tea house right to my over my left shoulder here. So really pretty. Okay, so today let's begin. I'm gonna flip the camera and we are going to stamp up a storm here. So join along, here we go. Okay, let me just give us a switcheroo. Okay, very good. All right, so today, as I mentioned, it's Technique Time with the Boughs of Holly bundle. And we're using the Leaves of Holly stamp set. And this is the Holly Berry dies. And so that's what I'll be using. And today I have stamped and die cut all my pieces. I know I usually give you some prep work to do ahead of time, but because of traveling and whatnot, it didn't quite get done. But you'll be okay. Follow along and let's have some fun. So I do want to mention real fast a couple things coming up on Thursday. What is it? December 1st. We will have an Upstyle Your Paper Pumpkin class. So bring your kit and let's get ready to have some fun. I am going to move my camera down just a little bit. There we go. Get you a little closer to the action here. So we are going to have on December 1st, Upstyle Your Paper Pumpkin. And then on December 29th, that's a Thursday evening, we're going to have a Zoom class. And we're going to make, this is 2022. This is the desktop calendar here. This is the finished one. Oh, here, the phone is ringing. Anyhow, this was 2022. Oh, it sounds like Vegas. Okay, my mom's friend Sue is calling, so hold on. You got it? Okay. I was going to pick the phone up for her. It's right next to me. Okay. So I was telling you, the desktop calendar for 2023, it's going to be beautiful. If you go to my blog, you will see just where to sign up for that. If you want to do that, that will be a class. We're going to do it together online on Zoom. I will record that and post it if you need it for a later time. So don't miss out on this class. It's going to be beautiful. I'm going to feature the Abigail Rose Sweet Collection, and it's going to be really pretty. It's going to be those colors. It's black, ivory, smoky slate, petal pink, crumb cake, and rose gold, along with some gold as well. So it's going to be really, really pretty. So don't miss that. And look for announcements for 2023 classes coming soon. I will have more info on those once I kind of know exactly what sets I'm going to use after having seen the upcoming January to April catalog. Once, I've seen that now, but I haven't totally plugged everything in. Hello, Marcia. It's good to have you here. Okay, so let's bust open our kit. Let's see what's in here. I'm just going to pull everything out because we're going to need it all. That way we don't have this bag and the glare from the light. Okay, we'll get rid of that trash. So in your smalls bag, now your smalls bag might not quite look like mine. You can see where I've kind of cut what we've needed from that, but you have your smalls bag. And keep your cardstocks in the order they are packed in your bag, because that's how we're going to make things today. Behind those, you have your designer series papers, right? Okay. And then you also have a couple pieces of basic white, and you have a whole bunch of twines and ribbons and linen threads and those sorts of things. So just kind of stack them off to the side as we normally do. Just find what's going to work for you. And let's begin with our very first tag. And so we're actually going to make 2 tags at one time. So grab the 3 die cut circles. And these circles are cut from the Stylish Shapes dies. They are the largest of all the circles. So for those of you cutting your own kit, okay? And what we're going to do is we are going to cut the white piece. And so we'll be making an evergreen tag and a soft succulent tag, okay? So I'm going to move this little stack aside. Excuse me, got a frog in my throat all of a sudden. Go away. And this piece here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut it, and we're going to share it on both of these tags. So let's do that. Let's grab your paper trimmer. And yes, I'm just going to set it right over my other pieces here. Let me get this in the view. And I'm not really measuring this, and I'm also not totally cutting it in half. I'm kind of doing, you know, it's not a third either, but just chop it. Wherever you chop it's good. So it looks like I had this on the 1 3/4. So if you wanted to be specific, but that's what I did, is I just chopped that a little bit. So that's what we're going to do for that. And then so you can see what we're going to do before I say and then. So we're going to put one here like that, and we're going to put this other one here like that. So you can see we're going to make a couple tags with this. Janice says, hi Liz, I'm working, whoops, and we'll watch the replay, switch days with someone. Awesome, I'm so glad. Come back, I will have it recorded here, and you'll be able to pick it up at any time. So glad you're here, and just popping in from work. Okay, so here, what we're going to do is these tags. Now, you're going to need your designer series paper, right? And so I don't actually have the sheet because I have already done mine, but you are looking for the sheet. Let me see, I have another little pack here. You're looking for your piece of paper. Let me pull this one out. I have a few extra pieces here. You are looking for the piece of designer series paper that has all of these poinsettias, okay? So that piece there, grab that. I've already pre-cut mine, which is why mine wasn't in my little bag. But I want you to cut all of these out. And you think, but I only have one hole, okay? Cut all of these pieces. We are going to use every bit of these, okay? So fussy cut those out. If you want to kind of fussy cut and go, gosh, you know, I just don't really feel like cutting the berries, cut them off. No one will be the wiser. Or if you want to include them, great. But do cut all these pieces. We're going to use every little bit. And you're going to see exactly how we're going to do that right now. So I have my stack. I have my stack of pieces that I cut out for my piece. So you can see I have just kind of some odds and ends. This one is almost a full one, but I'm missing a little bit of that right there. That's okay. I'm going to show you how we're going to use these. So you have those, and we're going to use these on our first 3 tags here. And so you know what? You might as well bring in your next piece of paper from your cardstock. It's a stitched rectangle. And this stitched rectangle, for those of you cutting your own, it's from Stitched Rectangles, and it measures about 2 5/8 across by just under 4 inches, okay? So that's the stitched rectangle I'm using, okay? So we're actually going to divide these pieces amongst these 3 tags. And so let me bring in, you may have seen the photos of these tags, but let me bring in the real deal here. So we're going to do a Joy and Peace tag, okay? And we're going to do a piece, just piece, do that. And then this rectangle tag here has most of, has a good portion of the you know, that's our biggest chunk of the poinsettias. Let me just read this comment. Denise says, good morning, Elizabeth. I will be by after your class to porch stamp. Okay, cool. I'm thinking it'll be around 12:30 our time, Denise. Awesome. It'll be nice to see you. Fun, fun, fun. Okay, so let's just kind of divide these up and see how we're going to do this. So I think I'm going to take this one because this is really similar. Now I'm missing part of this leaf. And you know what, you guys? I was missing part of the leaf on this one too. But we're just going to kind of give that some shape and it'll be beautiful. So I'm going to use that one on that tag there. Okay, so you find what's going to work. And this one here is similar, so maybe I'll use that there. And for this tag here, I think I might use a couple, but I might do something like this, and then maybe a little something like that on top. So it might not be identical, but by the time we get this little banner put in there, it'll look great. So, and then I have kind of this extra piece, and I might, you know, oh, I have an idea of what I might do with that. I might actually fix this leaf. So some of these little pieces you think, well, what am I going to do with that? We're going to, you know, I'm going to show you how to just kind of do a little bit of, you know, cut and snip and adding some things there. So hopefully you're with me. We'll set this aside. We'll make that one. I'm going to set this one aside because we're going to do that one second. And let's focus on this first one. It's pretty simple. But this is what we're going to do. We're going to grab a few pieces from our kit. So in your smalls bag, you have a banner in there. You have a, this is the really small stitched rectangle. Okay. So, and that is cut from soft succulent. So grab that. And also from your big kit, I mean, from all your bigger pieces, you have, and I've already kind of, I have my scraps here, but you have a piece of gold and you have a piece of evening evergreen glimmer paper. So I've kind of already cut and diced mine up. Grab your piece of gold glimmer paper because this will be our first die cut that we'll need. We're going to start easy. And so your first die cut is going to be the two little sprigs. So let me grab those out and I'll show you which two I'm talking about. I'm sure you can kind of tell, but it's this piece here and this other one. It's a little bit smaller, but cut yourself two, one of each, okay? So, and obviously you can see I've done all my die cuts and this is what was left of my 4x6 piece. Okay. Hello, Olive. It's so awesome to have you here. I got to see Olive the other day for the first time in several years. And it looks like even in this little piece of scrap, I could get a couple more out, but I don't need those. I've already die cut mine. Okay. So die cut those two pieces. So I have mine here in my little tidy tray. So that's what we're going to need for that. And we need a couple stamp images for this one. And you can vary these up however you'd like. I have both of the smaller images on one block. I'm at my mom's. These are all Stampin' Up! Blocks, but over a variety of time. They have changed over the years. So I'm using, you can use from Our House to Yours or to Friends Near and Far. Either one of those. We're going to use that. And we're going to use 3 other stamps, the little small stamps in this set. We're going to use the ampersand and the joy and the peace, okay? So you can see I've just set these up on one block and I flip-flop them from side to side. Okay, color-wise, evening evergreen, and cherry cobbler. All right, so that's what we're going for. Let's do a little stamping and then we'll assemble and have our first one finished. Okay, so for this one here, we're gonna do joy and peace. Now, I think it's easiest to just start with the word joy. I'm going to stamp that in Evening Evergreen. So ink it up. And remember, just gently tap. Don't smoosh. And when you stamp, don't press down so hard and rock and make it so it, you know, ghosts out, if you know what I mean. Okay, Sherry wanted to just see. She says, I made it. I look forward to watching the replay for the earlier ideas. So good to see you, Elizabeth. Okay, awesome to see you too, Sherry. This is our first one, but hopefully you'll be able to catch up. So far what you've needed to do, and I haven't done it on camera here, I did it ahead of time, is to find your piece of 4x6 paper and fussy cut all of the poinsettia images, including the ones that are on the edges of the paper. Okay, so there was joy. Now I'm going to do and. Now I will tell you guys something. I stamped all these tags, I made them, and then when I packed to come here to San Jose, I re-inked all of my pads. So everything might look a little bit darker and a little bit more intense. So I'm not going to stamp the ampersand just yet. I am going to stamp the word peace here on this far end so that I fill this entire little rectangle. Now I'm going to do that ampersand in the middle. Okay. Voila. So there's joy and peace. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'll bring that up a little closer. Fun. I like that they added these as separate so you can kind of mix and match and do some cool things with them. So there's that. I'm going to put this ink pad. I'm not going to have it go too far, but I just don't want to get my stuff all goopy, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of that. So I do have minis here handy and full size. New full sheets of both. I brought them with me from Idaho. And I'm just going to do several across here to keep from having a saggy middle, if you know what I mean. There we go. So that's ready. And these pieces are ready as well. So I'm going to glue this down. Oh, brand new. I snagged my mom's brand new thing of glue. And look, I didn't have to unclog because we're in San Jose here. We don't have the dry weather. So situate this just at the bottom of your evergreen circle there. Okay. And you can see this is going to kind of play into here, and then these two pieces are going to kick in there, and this one's going to come here. And then I will stamp this section right here just to kind of know exactly where I'm going to put things. So, but I can see this is kind of not a natural edge there. It's straight because that's where it fell on the side of the paper. So I'm going to give that just a little bit of shape, you guys. So take your paper snips. If you're missing something like this, don't fret. Just kind of come in and out, in and out. And now it looks like it's meant to be. Okay, just those two little in and out cuts made it look super cute. And this, I'm going to kind of glue this edge on. You know how me? Oh, that's some bad English. You know how I like to do kind of the half up, the half down to give it some dimension. So I'm doing on the leaves here that are going to be a little further away from center, I'm going to actually use dimensionals there. So now this, I'm just going to kind of tuck right there. Okay. Cuteness. Hello, Kayleen. Good to see you here. And this one, I'm going to tuck in there, just a little bit of glue. Oops, or a lot of glue. We'll just let that kind of dry there. Dries clear. This is coming out a little faster than what I'm used to because it's a brand new thing of glue. And we'll tuck that one in there, right like that. And before I put the joy and peace on, that is going to go right there. I will stamp, and you can stamp either one, the one that says from our home to yours or to friends near and far. I think this would be cute on, if you had a little, just a little neighbor type gift, either greeting. And I'm going to stamp that in Cherry Cobbler. So from our home to yours. Okay, so I'm just going to lift that out of the way and make sure. And what I'm going to do is kind of make sure to run my, my greeting parallel with that white edge there. Okay, there's from our home to yours. Looks good. And I intentionally have it offset to the right, so it has more of a right justification. All right, flip this over. And we'll add that, fill in that space right there. Cuteness. And I'm going to reach for my smalls bag but I'm going to shut this before we wreck everything, if you know what I mean. So in my smalls bag, there are some, you have a bunch of these red, and I love these red gems because the whole sheet is are the red rhinestones. So they're rhinestones, not gems. I misspoke. Take your pick tool and just pick up one of those and add that to the center of your poinsettia. And I'm just carving out some of that glue that smudged out. We don't want that. Might as well get it away while you can. And I'm going to set these safe so I remember where they are. I'm putting them in that little light holder. Okay. I have a light holder on my phone thing. You're going, what light holder is she talking about? Okay. So I think I forgot to put on the supply list a hole punch, but you do need a little hole punch. And just find the top of your tag and give it a hole. And what we're going to do, in your bag, you have all of this cool stuff right here. And I'll have to remember, I left my notes at home as to how I cut these. I'm like, did I fold it in half and then cut it in half again, or did I fold it into thirds? I think I folded it into thirds. Wish I had my notes. Okay, we're gonna fold it into thirds and hope for the best. You like that? That's pretty scary, right? Okay, so fold it into thirds, and I'm just gonna clip these apart. And then we are going to, with one of these, pull all of the threads out, pull all of them. And there's kind of two ways you could do this, is put this in your tag, fold it in half, like with a half hitch, and then separate them all using take your pick tool. But that takes a long time to kind of comb it out to get this fringe-like look. It's much easier to just pull these apart and then kind of hold them back together. So I'm going to pull out from this, I'm going to pull out 3 for sure. So I have 1, I think I actually have 4 here, but you have stuff to play with, so it doesn't, it doesn't have to totally be exactly the same. So there's 4. Okay, so I'm holding them back together. And that way, that was much easier to pull them apart like I just did than it would have been to put this in and then use the tip of my take your pick tool to, fray these apart. So I folded it in half, this little cluster, folded it in half, and I'm going to poke that through the hole. Whoops. Did they all make it? Okay, they all made it to the party. Open this up. Okay, and then bring the other ends through to the top there. And there you have it. If you want to trim these off and make them all even, you can. I'm going to do that over a garbage bowl here. So there you have your first tag. And if you want to go in and give it the beautiful, so I'm just going to shake up my Wink of Stella, prime it over scratch paper, kind of push where it says push, give it a push and wait to see that if the juice in there is flowing, but don't do it over your project. Okay, we're going to, it's going now. So now I'm going to go ahead and give my tag a little bit of sparkle and shine with Wink of Stella. Okay, and it got a little juicy right there. So I'll make it juicier on the other side to balance it. So there you have it. We are one and done. There's our first tag. So you can see from tag to tag, they're a little bit different because my poinsettias on my DSP were just a little bit different depending on where it was cut from the designer series paper. Okay, so 1 down, 8 more to go. So when I do tags, and sometimes even when I do cards, I know sometimes I've said it and you might not have caught it, but I like to make its twin. And so to me, this is its twin. So you're kind of taking an idea and making it twice. That way you're not reinventing the wheel too many times. So the twin to this is this little card this little tag right here. I don't always do it, but occasionally I do. Okay, so let's move that aside. So let's finish this one up. We kind of gathered some pieces for it. It's going to start very similar to the other one. I'm going to glue this white half or white section. It's not quite half. It's more than. Oh, thank you, Sherry. Sherry says very special tags. Okay, yeah, Kayleen tracked down Suzanne. She asked what time, and I told her it would be 11 her time. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to add my poinsettia on like I have on this tag here, but you can see I have that straight edge right there. Let me get it into the view here. That is not organic, and I had the same thing happen with this one here. What I did is just what I did on that last tag that we just did, and that is to kind of bring this in and out, in and out, and just create and make my own leaf that has a little bit more of an organic shape. It's kind of weird, but once you get it on, it's going to be fine. The other thing you could do, and I've done this on some cards where I wanted it to really look really good. A tag is a little bit different because you don't kind of study it as much. And that would be to cut this leaf entirely off and just use that one right there because it is a full leaf. So try that, but do use these little scraps. They can come in handy for all kinds of things. So I'm going to set that aside. This is going to go on with dimensionals. So because it's pretty big, I don't need minis. So I'm just going to throw a few on here. Whoops, pull the back off and not the dimensional itself. So let's do 3 just to balance it so we don't have a saggy middle. Okay, flip this over. And this one, we're just gonna set that on. And what I'm trying to do here is use my elements to kind of break up this harsh line right here. And the reason I want to do that is because there's no stitching on it. And so I'm kind of hiding the fact that there's not a stitch line. So that was what I was looking at when I put that one on. Okay, in your smalls bag, grab that little cute bag of goodies. And this is the smallest of the banners that you're going to need in Whisper White or Basic White from the Stylish Shapes. It used to be called Stitched Shapes. And so we're going to stamp the word peace on this one. We're going to stamp it in my favorite green these days, Evening Evergreen. I really like this color green. I also really like Shaded Spruce. Now, I'm going to bring in a piece of our Designer Series paper. This is for just giving me contrast, because to try and stamp the word peace on here against the white on white, it's just kind of hard to see what I'm doing. I'm not going to get any ink on, hopefully, on the Designer Series paper, but I'm just using it so I have some contrast, and that's what's within reach. Normally I would have like the foam pad from my Stamparatus, which is awesome. I think better than, say, the piercing pad, okay? So that way I could see where that piece needed to land in my little piece, the piece in the piece. And that's gonna go there. We're gonna put that on with dimensionals. So we're gonna double stack the E side of things because that's gonna need 2 minis. So we'll Big Mac those. Okay. Big Mac, whoops, hey, I pulled it off and it didn't even stick to the paper. For those who are new here, Big Mac, Big Mac has 2 patties. So this is, where the heck? So that's 2 dimensionals high. And then on this side, we're gonna do 1 because it's gonna be partially on the poinsettia and partially not. And that's how we're gonna keep it balanced. Okay, so it's running vertically like so. So I'm gonna tuck this right into this area right there. Okay. Get it straight. Now let's punch a hole. So grab your hole punch, and it's slightly off just a little, right about there. And we're going to use this half of this was in the clearance rack, you guys. It's been there for a long time. I don't know if it has sold out or not. It's the Mossy Meadow braided thread. Oh, I loved this stuff. And I'm like, I'm picking it up because I like it. And I like threads and things for tags. Jen Mallet says, hi all. Sadly, I'm working today, but look forward to making these. Okay, offline. So yes, these will they're photoed. You'll be able to check the video out. And it's all going to be there for you. So I pulled all of those pieces apart, which was easier than what I did the original one, where I put it in as a whole piece like this, the way it came, and then I carefully pulled it apart with the tip of my take your pick tool, and that took forever. So this was much, much faster. Okay, so to finish this one, we're going to add a couple of those red rhinestones. So, whoops, one of them just jumped off the page. Let me grab that one. We'll use that. We're going to put one there. And we're going to tuck one under there. It might not show very much, but you have enough. You'll have just enough to do all the ones I do. So we'll just kind of put that there. Maybe what I could do is move this just a little bit. I should have been watching that. Okay, is it still straight? Okay, good. Now you can see that little gem there. And same treatment, grab Wink and give her a bit of a, and come in and maybe paint the poinsettias and the leaves if you want, or maybe the poinsettias and the berries, you choose. But just give it some sparkle. There is our second tag. Curl these up just a little bit with my thumbnail, giving some style. But there you have it. There is the what I call the twin or the sibling to the first style. Okay, so where we've taken a circle and then a third circle and cut it in half and used it for both. So it's kind of like double dipping on your design efforts there. So there's our second tag. We're marching along here, you know, in perfect time, folks. Okay, for this one, in your smalls bag, grab the next size banner. Okay, so that larger banner is going to go in there. And grab your gold glimmer paper. And the die you're going to need for this tag is going to be this label here. And I think this label is super, super pretty. You could, you know, have it rook in this, you know, so it's got your holly on this side on the left, or you can turn it. It works in every direction that you put it. I mean, look how pretty that is. But we're going to just use this. And what I want you to do is put, and pretend this is the glimmer paper, but put your die just right on the edge like this, because basically you just want the two leaves, okay? And you're going to die cut those. If you're feeling like you really want to do it 2 more times. So we need 3 sets of this size holly leaves. 1 for this tag and then some others for later. So if you want to do that, you can, but remember that it is out of the gold, but I didn't have a full sheet of gold to show you. Okay, so, because I already die cut mine and that wasn't the last of it. So die cut some leaves for that. And I have mine, so let me get mine out and show you what I have here. Okay, so I have this portion right here. Now we're gonna do something, and we're gonna do a little bit of surgery. And what I'm gonna do is, this all isn't gonna show, but I am still gonna kind of shape my leaves here. And I'm just gonna kind of follow in, you know, I'm just kind of following where they have it, and then right here I'm just going to take that right off. So there's my first leaf, and then this one here I'll clean up just a little and do the same thing. I'll kind of see where the die cut holes are. I'm just going to kind of go in and shape around that. Hopefully that makes sense to you all. I'm sure it does. Okay. So now instead of a straight edge, I have a little bit more to play with. Even though I'm tucking it underneath the layers, I have, you know, you can just see a little bit more of it. And don't worry about that. We'll tuck it underneath and it's not going to show, if you know what I mean. So those are the pieces we're going to need. You'll need your red sequins, your red rhinestones again. And we're going to bust out, whoops, so sorry folks, the phone is right at chest height, you know, so here's my hand right here. Anyhow, and I hit it. I'm so sorry. So grab this piece. So the back side is, or I should say the front side, the back side, doesn't matter. This is the larger poinsettias. And then you have this nice kind of washed, you know, watercolor wash of red. And so let's take that piece, and we are going to cut the most obnoxious measurement ever for our tag layer here. But our tag layer is going to lay right inside, just inside the stitch line, okay? And so this is the measurement you're gonna want. And I can barely read my writing, but you're gonna want 2 7/16, that is a 3, by 3 13/16. Is that obnoxious or what? Okay, so, but that will take it to where it's gonna set right inside your tag there. So our first measurement is 2 7/16. Okay, so we want 2 7/16 by 3. So I'm actually going to cut, because this paper the way it is, I'm going to cut, is this 3 and it's not quite 13/16. So I'm going to have to do things. Hold on here. I'm going to cut 2 7/16. Okay, where is that? 2 7/16 should be right before the half. It's going to be the tick mark before 2 1/2. And now 3 13/16. Oh, Jiminy Christmas. I think that's going to be, there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. So just past 3 3/4, it's the one tick mark past 3 3/4. Oh, all that just to have a really special tag. Okay, so this is going to layer, and I'm just going to kind of shake my pieces off there. It's going to layer right inside that stitching line. Go right up to that edge. That's Julie Beltramo. She likes that, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. It does look really good. So I steal that from her, and I have a funny little edge right here, so I'm just going to give it a haircut. Okay. So while I think this poinsettia print is really pretty, sometimes the back sides have just some nice neutrals back there that blend in nicely with things. So I really like the back of this page. Cool, look. So now you have a nice layer back there with a nice stitching right around the edge of your paper. So let's add these with dimensionals. But before we add them, the white, oh, where did my white piece go? Great. And I don't have another one handy. I just had it, you guys. How could I have lost it? Okay. Oh, it is where I thought. It stuck to the back of the trimmer. This happened to me multiple times before. If your trimmer has any stickiness on it, check there. Okay, it's funny, I found it there. Okay, so let's stamp this so that we know how far apart these are gonna go. So for stamping, we're gonna do the same color palette we did on the first tag, and that is Evening Evergreen and Cherry Cobbler. So I am using the Christmas Wishes. Whoops, it's upside down. So this one says Christmas Wishes, and I'm just gonna ink up the wishes. Okay, if you wanna put a Post-it note on there, to be sure you don't get any ink on the word Christmas so that it doesn't come onto your tag, you can cover up the Christmas with your, okay, and I like to take my fingernail and really squish it on there and get it down into that groove. So mask that off, and then even still, try not to get too much ink on it, but just ink up the word wishes. Twist, twist, tap, tap. Now pull this off. Okay, don't be like me and stamp with it on. I have done that. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. How stupid could I be? Okay, so this is the right side. Again, I'm gonna bring in a piece for contrast in there so I can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna huff on this since it's been a couple seconds. And this is gonna kind of go up towards the top because we have to get the other one is 2 lines. So just center that. Give that a good stamp. Okay, cool. That looks really good. Now go back to the stamp we used at the beginning, and that's the one that says to friends near and far, from our home to yours. Either one is good. I think I'm going to do the from our home to yours. I like that saying. Okay, from our home to yours, or on this one I did to friends near and far. You just pick what you like and tuck this right in there. Okay, beautiful. That's a line from a movie. This guy says, beautiful. What is it, velvet? So that's why I always say beautiful like that. So stupid. The weirdness you're going to hear out of me is insane. Okay, a couple dimensionals on this. Again, this is bigger, so I'm going to use 2. Kind of side by side. That's ready. Let's add dimensionals to our poinsettias. Now remember, these are I'm gonna hide and disguise those harsh edges. So you're not even gonna notice that they're not full pieces. And I'm gonna do the whole thing. None of this half up, half down. Just the whole thing is gonna be on dimensionals. Here. And one more right there. Peel all these off. And let's see. So we're going to situate this one towards the bottom. And if it hangs over the edge, like it is right now, I'm fine with that. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. And we'll take this second one. And same thing. Now, before we put this one down, I might bring this into place here and go, okay, how am I going to do this? Now, this is going to kind of show and be funny. So, you know how I'm going to fix that? I'm just going to cut that one off. Okay. Now I can blend in a little bit more organically. There's that. And then take this piece, and it's going to set right inside there. Like so. And so this one's a little more offset. It just really depends on how your poinsettias, how you end up cutting those out. But that looks good. Now let's bring it to life with some zhuzhing up of gold and with a little bit of bling, if you know what I mean. Okay, so these leaves, I'm going to tuck this one kind of like I did my first one. I'm going to tuck that one in there. So see, now you can see that you can't even tell that that's not a full leaf. Okay. Tuck this under the berries. Sometimes I kind of like to lift things just a little bit so I don't get glue all over like I just did. So I'm just going to get my finger in there, wipe that little bit of glue away. Okay. And so now I like the way this one kind of cantilevers over the edge as well as that one hangs off the edge. And then this one, well, on this tag here, it's up in here, but I think, let's see, let's play with this a little. You know, I think I may do it there, or no, I do like it over here for balance is better. But play around. It's a good lesson to see you don't have to have the exact same poinsettias. Okay, so we'll glue that in place there. And then on this one, I added my gems. I allotted 3. But, you know, if you want to put them in the center of the points, you can. You decide. But you do have enough of these red gems for 3 on this tag. I think I just kind of like them on the poinsettias. I don't know why. We'll just do them there. Since I don't have quite as much negative red space as I did on this one. Okay. And I like to, once I have them exactly where I want them, I take the lid of my Take Your Pick tool and I give them a good smash on there so that they stay. Now, we're going to use the Very Best Trio Punch a lot today. And you saw me use this in our last Use It Up class for our Peaceful Deer tags. And I like to stamp this ribbon slot first on all tags. If I'm gonna then go and do the corners, just because I have more of a flat edge. But this flat edge will go, whoops, I kind of have to move my berries a little bit. This flat edge, so I might actually end up punching a hole in my berries. Oh well. Tuck those in there, but put that flat edge all the way up. I probably should have done this before I did all the design work. But push straight down with this. Don't think that, oh, it's this one I pushed the corner. That's not going to work. There's your ribbon slot. Lovely. This is a great punch. And I said last time it's a very best trio, but there's actually 4 punches on there. Okay, so you have 2 pieces. This is the Sweet Sorbet metallic ribbon. And you could do a couple things with this. You can leave it as is. I don't know if you can see in my original here. I'll bring this up and I'll bring this side by side. There's a little bit of a color difference. And so what I did on this one is I colored this Sweet Sorbet with my cherry cobbler blend. So I'm gonna grab a couple pieces of scratch paper here, just so I have it nice and thick. Grab your cherry cobbler blend, and with the brush end, take your ribbon and just pull it underneath the felt tip end. Sometimes I can do this really well and fast, and sometimes I'm kind of goofy like I am right now, if you know what I mean. But just come in here, give it a good color, get that other end that you were holding. And if you want, you can flip it over and do the other side, but you don't have to. It's kind of pretty to have a little bit of a two-tone effect, but it does give this just a little bit, a little bit more emphasis to the color. So it strengthens up, it makes it just a little bit more bold than the Sweet Sorbet. But again, like our first 2 tags, we're gonna fold in half and then pull the ends through that loop. And there you have a half hitch. And if you need to add a little bit more cherry cobbler to the ends, which I feel like I do, I'm gonna do that. So just a little bit more. Get those ends going. Really punch it up and then let that dry. And there you have our 3rd tag. Let me get my Post-it notes out of the way here. Don't need my cheat sheets anymore, if you know what I mean. So if you would like, and you know we like, hit those poinsettias with a little bit of wink. You know, I really like to get those going. I don't think this is the one I was using at first because we're not getting a lot of action out of it. So a little bit more. And then get that flick action going. And not only can you do this where you're kind of flicking the tips of your Wink of Stella, you can also get some bigger splatters by knocking it on the edge of the cap. Okay, so there's number 3. Slightly different from the original, but same elements. It's just the poinsettias were telling me to do something just a little bit different. Alicia says, I'm late and can't stay on long, but wanted to see what kind of great tags you are creating. So these are posted in the Backstage Pass, so you'll see all of those. But here it is up close and personal. You can see those there. Speaking of see those there, I mentioned to you that this class was coming with 30 bonus projects, and those will post later today. They're going to come in batches. There's a batch of like 10 at 12 o'clock, and then another batch of 10 at 12:01, and another batch at 12:02, 12:03, and 12:04, I believe. So you'll see lots and lots and lots of photos there of all thing Boughs of Holly Sweet Collection. Okay, this next tag, you guys, is my favorite. And so if you grab your stack of cardstocks, pull everything from the white piece of cardstock up. There is a piece of Poppy Parade in there. Okay, so that's going to be for our next tag. That piece of Poppy Parade, you can see I've done mine ahead of time, but you're going to pull the label out of your set of dies here. Grab that label die, and go ahead and cut that from Poppy Parade. I think this is a 1 inch by 3. So if you need an actual just scrap, grab a scrap from your file or a 1 by 3 of Poppy Parade. And then this tag is being made out of, you can use thick basic white or the regular weight, but it is a little bit longer and I have it folded. So let's see what the measurements are for sure here. The measurements are 3.5 inches wide by 8.5. So you're using basically almost a half sheet of paper, but 3.5 by 8.5, and then score it at 5 inches. So you're going to score it at 5 inches and fold it up. So this tag is, let me bring in my original here. Here's my original. And it looks like the 3.5, we're actually going to trim it down just a little bit. So I kind of lied, but we'll get that measurement. But the cool thing about this is designed to have a candy cane added inside. So there is a nice little hidden pocket in there. So you could put a candy cane, or you could put anything in that pocket. You know, we like pockets. So there's your pocket on this tag, kind of a hidden little surprise. So let's see, the actual measurement of this, the width of this one is 3 inches. So, okay, so yours might be cut the right way, but mine was a little big. You know, sometimes you get them cut and then you go, maybe I do want to do that a little bit narrower than what I did. It was kind of looking a little bulky. Okay, so I'm going to switch this to be 3 inches wide. Okay, there we go. So with your very best trio punch, let's get that action going first. Bring in your very best trio. Take the top edge and put that straight edge right in that bumper. Okay, and center that the best you can. Just eyeball it. Now, give it a turn, and we're going to get this corner taken care of, and we'll get this corner. Now, on the corners here, it's the same. So you're going to get the same 45-degree angle if you put it in this way and this way. Not the same for this other cut here. About the light on my, I didn't have any vellum to cover it up. Tandra says, cover it with vellum. Tandra. I met Tandra in person the other day. I've been saying her name wrong. Tandra. Okay. It was fun to see her. And Jan Myers. Oh, yeah. Bumped right into her and I'm like, Jan! I was excited to see her. And Tandra. Okay, so we don't need this anymore. We'll put that away. Okay, Kat, have a good one. Catch the replay for sure. Okay, so we have some definite stamping. This one's all about stamping. There's no designer series paper in this particular tag. So my colors are going to be, we have 2 ink pads for our stamping. So we have Poppy Parade and we have Soft Succulent. The other color, you can use Whisper White or you can use Versamark, you choose, and that will be for the greeting. I'm going to use Whisper White this time because that's what's handy at the moment. So let's begin with Soft Succulent. And for this card, or tag rather, we are using the smaller of the holly leaf, okay? So there, this is a 2-stepper, so here's the first image. This is gonna be lighter. We're gonna stamp this one off, and then we're gonna stamp directly on top with full strength Soft Succulent, and we're gonna do it 4 times, okay? So this one here, I'm gonna ink up in Soft Succulent, tip, tap, yep, and stamp off, and I'm just gonna stamp off over here on the edge of my paper, okay? And the first one I'm going to stamp is going to kind of come across, and I'll hold this up so you can see exactly where it is. So right in there. Okay, and it's okay if it's kind of got some mottling. There's the edge there so you can see where it is. So that's where I've put that. Now we're going to kind of open this up and we're going to lay another one inside here. So it's going to, part of it's going to be hidden inside the pocket. But that's what's going to give us this section right there. So let's stamp that off on our scratch paper. Stamp it off nice and good. And just reach this one, and if it goes off the edge, great. And if it doesn't, it's all good. But that's about where I want this one to go, on that opposite angle. So there you have it. So one's hidden and one's on the front. Now, while we have nothing else on this, let's get our soft succulent. Oh, I didn't bring my soft succulent, so we'll use crumb cake because that's a little bit darker. You can use soft succulent, crumb cake, you decide. I think originally I used soft succulent. We could use an aqua painter and grab soft succulent that way if you'd like, or you can use a Stampin' Blend to give this a little bit of flick, a little bit of splatter. Can you see there's a little bit of that there? So I did use a blend originally, so let's just use a water painter because that'll work too. So grab your water painter, aqua painter, a little bit of, and I'm not going to do this super juicy. I'm just going to do it pretty light. And let me kind of fold back on that so it's flat. And I'm just going to do a little bit, or a lot of it. So there's a little there. And I do want some on here. I think I will wait for that to dry because I don't want them to smear. There's something about when you smear your ink splatters that doesn't look good. Do grab, you have 2 pieces, 2/4 sheets of basic white in your kit. Grab one of those. We're going to do some stamping while we're waiting for those splatters to dry. Hello, Vivian. Awesome to have you here popping on with us. So I'm inking up the large image again, and just as before, I'm going to stamp off. And I'm going to stamp a couple of these right on the edge of my paper here. We're going to die cut these, so you do want to get them right up to the edge because we're going to need every last, oh man, I totally missed a spot. That's okay, I'm not going to worry about it because I'm going to put the second stamp over it and it'll go away, okay? Don't worry. Stamp this off, and we're going to do another one, and I'm going to nestle that right in here, trying to get it right by the edge. Get it there. Hopefully this one stamps all the way. Why am I missing a section? Oh, and look, I'm getting ink on things. Oh man, I'm a wreck. Okay, it is what it is. So now this is going to be full strength, soft succulent. We'll put that right on top. Oh, I know why. It's the dip of where you fold the cover on the dining room table. I'm stamping on the dip. Don't stamp on the dip, if you know what I mean. On the crease. Okay. At least I know what's going wrong. See, look, now you can't even tell that I had issues on that. Now let's cover up that issue. And you're going to need to grab the die that fits this. It's an open die, and you'll cut both of these out. But before you do that, let's do our stamping of the berries. And so I'm going to do there's a 2-step for the berries as well. Okay, so there's the solid image, and then there's the top, and I'm going to use Poppy Parade on this. And I'm going to use Poppy Parade for the berries. The solid part of the berry image, I'm going to ink it up and stamp off on your scratch paper over here. And let's nestle this in here as tight as we can. Okay, I'm telling you, we need every little square inch, millimeter. Okay, now the overlay image, the second of the 2-step, is going to be full strength Poppy Parade. I really like this white Poppy Parade and soft succulent combination. I just think it's really pretty. Okay, so there's my stamping for this. So we can put that away now. Close that up. And I'm going to come back to my soft succulent. We're going to die cut those in a second, but I want to splatter this top portion. So I'm just going to do a little bit there like that, and we'll let that dry while we go to die cut all of our pieces here. I'm going to set these ink pads aside for now, get them out of the way. Watch while that's drying. You're going to pull out your die cut pieces to cut those out. And so that's going to be the small open image of the holly, and then the berry, you'll cut those out. So I have mine done ahead of time. So here are my 2 leaves. Look how they, I mean, I just stamped these earlier and then that. So it does kind of dry a little bit lighter, but super, super pretty. And then I also have my berries. So I have those done ahead of time, because you don't want to sit and wait for me to do all that. That's just crazy talk. Okay, so put those back in the bag, because you know I'll lose them. I'll go, where'd they go? Okay, while we're waiting for splatters to dry, let's do just a little bit of embossing here. And so I have white embossing powder here, or my mom has white embossing powder here. Look, she does what I used to do, and that is to put the whole jar in so you knew what it was. Gives it a nice label. Now I just kind of guess. It's terrible of me. But I'm going to use my Whisper White pad here. And I just recently juiced this up. And you could stamp Season's Greeting or Christmas Wishes. They both fit in there. I like the way the Season's Greeting fits in this label better. But here it is. So get it good and inked up nicely. And we'll stamp that. And because it's, you know, I can definitely see the color difference. I don't need a color underneath me like I do when I'm stamping white on white. Just center that the best you can. Give it a good stamp. Awesome. Dunk it, as you know, in the white. So this is just plain white embossing powder, right? Give it a good flick. Sometimes I'll give it a flick and then like I just dropped it, and then I lost a little bit of the S and the O in Season, so I'm going to juice that up just a little bit more. There we go. Oh, that's much better. I know you guys couldn't tell from where you are, but it does look better. And now I'm going to, you know me, I like to grab a plate. Oh, I just about tipped the whole jar. Grab a plate to be underneath you to protect your surface from the heat. Take a pick tool, and then with your heat maker, turn it on, get it warmed up. And my cord isn't quite long enough. Okay, looking beautiful. There is that, okay? Easy. You guys all are pros at embossing, but it always makes things look so fun and festive. Okay, I'm gonna put this away because I knocked the edge of this and I just about spilled it everywhere. Okay, that wouldn't have been good. I'm gonna set that down so I can shut the lid. Okay, now I have my pieces and I'll bet my splatters are dry. Okay, bring this in. Gosh, I've got embossing powder everywhere. Hold on. I do have a big pile of it. Okay, hold just a second here. I've got a bit of a mess. Got to open this back up because I have a whole bunch that's on my pad here. Like enough to, you know, a usable amount. So excuse the tidy up here. Okay, so here we go. Now I'm just gonna brush this off because it's all gritty. You're probably thinking, this lady's crazy. Now I've lost all my pieces. Okay. Gather all my pieces back here. Okay, now we can assemble our tag. So for the pocket, let's just glue the sides. So this tag here was inspired by one of the cards you'll see in the bonus projects that are going to go up at noon. Because I really, really like the clean freshness of this white with the succulent and the poppy. So it's, like I say, you'll see the cards that inspired this for sure. Okay, so just going to kind of glue those down. Now let's take our leaves here, and they're going to come in like so. And so this leaf, this top one, is going to kind of hide that pocket edge there. Oops, I forgot some berries in there. I was supposed to, you can see some more berries stamped, but I've already glued my pocket. It's okay. These berries will be enough. They're gonna go right there. So let's put these on with dimensionals. As you put this one on, just put dimensionals. So if it's gonna be like this, just put dimensionals on this bottom edge. And I'm gonna use minis. Where are my minis? Here's my minis. So just on the bottom edge. Okay, and I'm gonna do 3 to keep it from kind of teetering. And then the rest is gonna be left, I put them on the wrong side. You gotta be kidding me. I put them on the bottom when you actually need to put them on the top. So when you turn it over, it is the bottom. You guys are going, this girl's nuts. Okay. Get them in the right spot. Okay. Now I can come in and add this and kind of bring that right over your cut line to hide that there's a pocket in there. And then this leaf, just pop this one on with a couple bigs. It goes faster, if you know what I mean, Vern. And then this one will just come down into this area like so. Okay, and now let's do a big one on the berries. And we'll put this on just like that. Kind of cute, right? And I forgot to stamp the From Our Home to Yours. She's just like not even seeing what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, but that's okay. I think for this one, let's look at, so I might use the To Friends Near and Far and nestle that over here on this side. Or, I mean, I can lift my leaf up here. Yeah, I think I'll just lift it up and stick to my original design. And just the nice thing about dimensionals, if you don't push them down too hard, they don't set up for a few minutes. So you have time to kind of move them just a little bit. So I just twisted that ever so slightly so that I could fit in To Friends Near and Far or From Our Home to Yours, either one. And that's going to be in Poppy Parade. I put my ink pads away too soon. Forgot about it. So sorry. So we'll do From Our Home to Yours. Okay. And just right down here on the right side. And use the bottom of your tag to be your guide so that you can make that straight. Okay, now we can put everything together. Voila. Okay, Season's Greetings. Let's Big Mac this. So the right edge needs 1, and the left edge is gonna need a 2-fer. So there's the little stacked dimensionals for this one. And we'll set that on top of, and I'm going to put this I'm looking for the center here on this one, just like so. Okay, that just about finishes up this one, except for we need to have some thread on here. And so you have a piece here, and let me just make sure. So I think this one, I think this one's getting cut into thirds as well. Is that right? Hold on, I'm gonna just, nope, I think this one gets cut in half. I hope so. I can't believe I left that note at home. Okay, we're gonna cut it in half, and we're going to pull out 2 threads from our silver threaded twine. This is gorgeous stuff. I really, really like this twine here. I really like that you can kind of thin it out the way I'm doing right now and have extra pieces. So it's like a huge, like not a double bang for your buck, but like a quintuple bang for your buck. So we'll pull out 2 so that then we have 4 pieces coming off of this. So we'll put the ends together, fold it in half. Okay. And then this is really easy through that ribbon slot. That ribbon slot's really, really nice, folks. So half hitch that, tighten it up, And we just about have this one done. You know what it needs. Bring her in. I'm going to get this one kind of juice it up a little bit. But just go ahead and give it some nice fleck, if you know what I mean. Or bang the tip, but definitely get some sparkle and shine on your tag there. And there you have this was tag number 4 with that cool hidden pocket that's right in there. So you could put, you know, any little gadget in there. Maybe it's a Ghirardelli square, you know, those little chocolate squares that they do. All kinds of things. So be crafty, but there you go. There's number 4. I love this one. And then do look at those samples that will go up later today, and look for this palette. I think you might like it. If you like white cards, like that crisp, fun look. Okay, so you know the drill here. We're going to bring in our stack of cardstock here. And so this next tag, that's all you need. Tough, huh? Not too tricky. Not too tricky at all. Okay, and this is the beautiful tag we're going to be making with this piece here. So I also want you to bring in this piece of designer series paper. It's the red, you know, wash of color, but it also has the polka dots on there. The back is the small poinsettias. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to cut a piece. We're going to cut a piece, and let's measure this just to make sure we have just the exact right size. So we are going to cut a strip that's going to be 2.5 inches wide. So we'll cut the whole strip of our paper, and it's going to be by 5 1/4. So 2.5 by 5 1/4. So bring your trimmer in. Okay, so 2.5. Da-da-da-da-da. Save that. Give this a rotate, and it's going to be by 5 1/4. 2.5 by 5 1/4. That's our piece that we're going to need. Now let's shape our tag, and so we're going to do that with the tools here. But before we do that, what I want to do is, you know, we've been doing so that we have a nice bumper on here, but because we're layering our pieces, I'm actually going to shape my corners first. So sometimes you just have to know how you want to work your tools. So you break your rules every now and again. So remember I said this is called the Very Best Trio, but this corner here actually has 2 designs because it's not symmetrical the way this one is. Depending on how you put this in, the bumpers, you'll get a different shape, okay? So you just have to decide which shape you want and be consistent. And so this is what I mean. So if I put my paper in this way and punch, my tag has, you know, it's, the curve is, you know, so we're curved up, but this one kind of bumps over. So if I turn it this way, it's not going to be the same cut. Instead, I have to flip my paper over and put it back in the same corner. That way, I will have consistent, let me bring this piece underneath, consistent shapes there. Hopefully that makes sense. If you're not sure and you have this punch first with scratch paper so that you're totally, cool, you know, that you're getting the same punches. So instead of turning 45 degrees and going in that other corner, you're going to go back to where you were and you're going to flip it over, okay? Flip it over 180 and punch that corner. Now we're going to glue this one on. So we have some nice layers here. So glue that on. Then we'll punch that ribbon slot. Okay. A little bit of glue on here. Nice. Just center that the best you can. And then we will take that. And because I didn't do glue right there, I'm able to go in and punch the top of that right away without getting, you know, if the glue were wet, you'd want to wait before you go in on it so that you don't get glue up in your tool there, your punch. Okay, so there's my ribbon slot. Now, speaking of ribbon, we might as well pull out all the pieces we're gonna need for this. You have 2 pieces of this awesome ribbon. I don't remember the name of this. It is in the the July-December catalog. It is so soft and pretty. I'm glad you've got your hands on it so you can see, but look how Christmassy it is. I mean, it doesn't have to be Christmassy, but look how Christmassy it is. Then you have your second piece of the Sweet Sorbet metallic, and you're going to need, so this piece we pulled out a couple threads for our last tag. Go ahead and pull out a couple for this one as well. So there's one. And you know when you're pulling these, not to take it and try and pulling it away from each other, but pull one, hold one section, and then just pull one out. And it'll kind of gather up on itself, but it'll come out that way far easier and you won't have knots. So one will be for tying a bow around everything, and the others are going to be for running up and through. So let's just take all these. And yes, our one piece is longer. So we'll just even this up. Okay, just trim that off. Yeah, they're not all exactly the same, but don't worry about it. Fold them in half, the best you can, and we'll put them all through. And actually, you know what I think I did? Put this one through, and then put the other ones so that this kind of runs. If you look at this one, the smaller pieces are on the outside of this. So we'll put this one through the ribbon slot, okay, at about halfway. Now, if we put these 2 in, they'll be on the outside of this ribbon that's bigger, that's wider, and it will be seen. Okay, so those 2, bring them up and through. So these, we're not doing a half hitch. We're just putting all these pretty tassels in here. And then we're going to tie them with this piece of linen thread that we pulled from the silver threaded twine. Okay, so let me get this. Kind of have to tell it who's boss here. But bring that up and around, and we'll tie this in a bow, and then we'll trim this all up and get it pretty looking. Okay, so now before you cinch down on this, see if your ends are kind of even. Not, they don't have to be perfect, but you don't want one that's really, really short. But then you can tighten that up, and if you want to give it an extra knot in there, then it's a little easier to tie this next bow, right? Get over here. I can't see the end because I've got 2 of the similar things. Didn't know which one it was. Okay, now people go, how am I telling my bows don't look good? Well, yeah, because you have to play with them to make them look good, right? So shape your bow here. Kind of puts in and you can't see over my fingers, but I'm gonna kind of hold that tight. Now I'll trim so that my ends are even here. There we go. So now the ends, there's how I'm going to take this on, and you think, okay, well, how's she going to tie that onto a present? So what I would do is take this so that I have 3 pieces to each side, and I'm going to come up and around and tie tight around whatever ribbon I have on the package, or maybe it's around the handle of a bag. Okay, so now we have beautiful base work to set the stage for all of our gorgeous stamping. You guys, this is such pretty stamping. It's crazy that we're going to cover it with our gold leaves. Speaking of gold leaves, go back to your piece of gold glimmer paper, and you're going to die cut 2 of the detailed leaves. So what I mean by detailed, so it's not an open die, it's this one here. So you need the small one and the larger one. So go cut both of those from your glimmer paper. You can see that there. So I have mine done. They are right here. So those will be pieces we need. Ta-da! Okay, so you get that idea. I'm going to put these aside and bring your paper in that we did stamp before, and you would have already die cut those, but I'm just going to kind of keep working on this paper to show you what we're going to be stamping next. We're going to be stamping with Cherry Cobbler and with Blushing Bride. but not necessarily in exactly the way you're thinking. We're going to stamp a lot of this with cherry cobbler. In fact, most of it's going to be cherry cobbler, but it's just so pretty, especially if you've rejuiced your stamp. So grab the large leaf and the smaller leaf. Make sure they're clean. We're going to do one of each, a large and a small. I got to get my cleanup pad here because I don't know what color is on here. So I think this is clean. This is the one that's not. Okay. This one has succulent on it. We want to get that off. Okay, so while your cleanup pad is out, do the two-step part. Okay. That's looking good. Now we're going to stamp these in cherry cobbler. I'm going to move these off the paper here for just a second so you can see. So this piece here, I'm going to turn my paper and kind of work in here. I want to get this all snuggled in nice and tight. So ink up the first stamp that we've done. So just like we did on the soft succulent, we're going to stamp off. This is cherry cobbler. I'm stamping off of cherry cobbler here. Get it off really well. And come way in here and tuck this way in down here at the bottom. Okay. Let me see if it's better to turn it. Yeah, maybe we'll turn this just a little bit. But get it right there down in the corner. There's that. Now let's do the second step of the two-step. And look how pretty this is, you guys. This is super pretty. Ruby, get down. Got a dog scratching at my leg here. I think this is just like, oh my goodness, you guys. In real life, this cherry cobbler with stamped off cherry cobbler, that's so pretty. And that's what's fun about these tags. It's a little bit of an exploration of unusual color patterns. And we'll get to those in just a minute here, where they're not the expected green and red. We might kind of change them up and do red and pink or you know, teal. So I'm stamping off. This is the larger of the the holly leaves. So stamp it off really well, and let's get it stamped in here. Just really get it as close as you can, because like I say, we need every little, I think it's going to be better this way. We need every square inch. We decided they're not, so just kind of however you can get it in there. But we're going to need to get in a couple more sets of berries there. Yes, I had some ink on there from the green. I'm not going to worry about it because I'm going to come in here with the larger image and do the two-step over it. And oh, this is so pretty. I think I want to do a few more cards. I have so many cards. I don't really need any more Christmas cards, but this is so pretty. I think I just might do it again. Make a couple more with that. I mean, holy cow. Ooh, and I stamped really well on this one. But look at that. Look, isn't that pretty? Okay, so that's our berries. I mean, our holly. Now let's do the berries. We're going to use Blushing Bride. And you'll need your cleanup pad to clean the berries. So clean off the Poppy Parade for both of those images. So our first step on the berries, and we're going to need 2 of these, folks. And let's just nestle these way down in here. I'm going to use up every little bit of this paper. So there's my Blushing Bride. And let's get another one in here. Tuck that right in there. There's Blushing Bride. And we'll put Cherry Cobbler on top. Okay, let's get these turned just right. These are really easy to do. In fact, I think all of these 2 steps are really easy to line up. The trick is to have a big enough block that you can see all the way through. Sometimes if you put something on too small a block, you can't see where the edges are, so bigger blocks is better. Okay, we'll put all of our stamps aside. And now let's work. Don't put your ink pads away because we're going to do our greeting here for this stamp. And I'll bring that back in. You're going to need your smalls bag. Okay. From your smalls bag, you have a small piece of red glimmer and you have a circle. For those of you cutting your own kit, This is cut from Stylish Shapes, and this circle measures about 1 5/8 across, thereabouts. Okay, so where's my smalls bag? Okay, so grab your smalls bag, and in there you're going to find your red glimmer. So the red glimmer is not sold with the gold and the evergreen, it's sold with white. So it's in a different pack, but you're at least getting your hands on some. I had just a little bit left. Okay, so I need that circle for our tag. And from your red glimmer, let me show you what you're gonna cut. You're going to cut, and they might not be all for this tag, but you're gonna cut 2 of the large little pine bough, okay, pine needles, and 1 of the small, and 1 of the overlay, okay, so this isn't the open image, but this is the detail image of the berries. And you can see it's kind of cut right there. So you're gonna cut 2, 1, and 1, okay? And it will fit on your piece of paper. You can get it all in there and even have a little bit left over. So cut those from your red glimmer. That way you'll have the berry detail for a little bit later. You'll have all those ready to go. And you will also need to cut these 4 pieces. So eventually everything's gonna get cut out of this piece of paper, okay? So I have mine done. Here are my holly leaves, and now I have my berries as well, just so you're not watching me die cut and spending all that time. So I have those done ahead, okay? And our stamping on this tag, we're going to create a nice little grouping of images like we did on our very first tag that said joy and peace. This time we're going to do peace and joy, but we're going to mix up and do 2 colors here. So let's start with the word peace. So here's peace, joy, and the ampersand, and they all need to be cleaned because they have evening evergreen on them. So give those a quick clean. Okay, all right, there we have it. So let's do peace, and peace is gonna be in cherry cobbler. There's cherry cobbler, like my old pad. One of these days I'll replace it. I like the old pads. And this is just gonna go up a little higher than halfway, and I'm gonna center it for the most part. Okay, so there's peace. Now the ampersand is in Blushing Bride. Okay, nice repetition of color that we're gonna have here. And I'm going to nestle the top curl, that top loop of the ampersand, right in between the P and the E of the word peace. There's that ampersand. Now the word joy will be in cherry cobbler. And you're just looking to kind of get that, nestle that right in there. Make sure it's straight. Ooh, I overstamped. I pushed too hard into the ink pad and onto my paper. That's what not to do, but we're gonna let it ride. Okay, it's handmade. Hand stamped, handmade, but do try and not be aware of that to take your artwork up a notch. Okay, so let's work on, now that we have all of our pieces ready. Okay, where did I put my red? Here are my red pieces. Okay, 1, 2, and 1 more. So all 3 of these little pine needles are for this tag. The berries that you die cut from the red will be for another one coming up. Okay, so let's assemble. Bring in our tag that we have ready to go. And I think it's easiest to start with the peace and joy. So I'm gonna put this on with a couple big dimensionals. Okay, 1 and 2. Okay, and we'll set this. I can bring my other tag in, or you can just kind of eyeball. Bring it in to where it's a little higher than halfway. Okay, so it's not right dead center, it's just a little bit higher. Now for these, let's take these and just a little bit of glue. I have a little hanging piece there, we'll pop that out. Just a little bit of glue here and there, and I need to kind of pull the mocos off the tip of my glue. I'm just going to do little dots here and there. You don't need a ton of this, you know. They don't have to be on like Fort Knox. Just a little glue here and there. Okay, good enough. So this is going to go on the large. Now you decide, I'm sorry, this goes on the small. You decide whether you want this on smack on top to where it's totally lined up, or do you want it slightly askew? I actually kind of like the slightly askew. I wonder why. Tells you a lot about me, right? So I've gone for the slightly askew. This one's lined up pretty even. But this is going to go on with dimensionals. And I'm going to do the half up, half down because I'm going to have berries in here. So the stem end of my leaf is going to get glued down while the tip of the leaf is going to have a little dimension in it. So I'm going to tuck that under and reach that right about there. Okay. Now let's repeat, do the same thing with the larger leaf. Larger one for me, you might have done the larger one first, but just a little bit of glue here and there. Oh, thanks, Jacqueline. They are really pretty. And when you get yours done in person, you're going to be like, ooh. So last week with the Peaceful Deer, those were a little bit of a different approach. They were quick and playful. These are a little bit, you know, a little longer to put together and a lot more fancy. So let's do the same thing. And, you know, okay, see how that's kind of flying up? I like that. To me, that's dimension. It's dimension for free because I didn't really do anything. And we will put a dimensional on the tip end, and we're going to glue down the stem end and reach this under and just tuck that right in there. You know what? I've got a dimensional in the way, so I'm just going to trim some of that off so that I can get a little further in. Okay, there you have that. Now let's take the berries, and I'm going to do something a little bit different. Normally you put the dimensional on our piece. I'm going to put a dimensional right there because then I know it's not going to be lopsided and half on the tag and half not on the tag. I'm going to reach this one. Well, I'm going to use this one because this is stamped a little better. I've got a funny edge right there that I want to cover. But I'm going to reach this in, and it's going to tuck underneath. Okay. So we have some tucked under there. And now this one, I'm going to put, looks like, because this one's going to be a little trickier because this one's going to kind of, I'm going to put my dimensional there. And we'll put this one. So I'm kind of hugging the Y on the word joy there. All right, so there's that. Now let's add in our 3 red glimmer sprigs, pine needles, whatever you want to call these. So just a little on the end. We'll reach that in. We'll reach this one in. So I was chatting with Julie and Kayleen, and we're like, okay, so what do you do when you have a mix of tags, and how do you match with your wrapping paper so that it's like not kind of, you know, so that it looks pretty. And I think picking up, and the Dollar Tree has inexpensive, you know, you have to get several of them, but just little rolls of craft paper that you would use for, you know, like mailing. And I think that's really pretty. It sets a nice background for all of these varieties of tags. Or if you can find craft with white polka dot, that's always kind of fun. Or look for something, you know, fairly generic so that your things, you know, your tags shine and that they are not clashing. So that's the challenge. That, or you buy your wrapping paper first, then you design all your tags. That would be too easy to work in that method. Okay, so the balance of these rhinestones are for this tag. So add them where you'd like. I'm going to do one, I think this one I'll go here, slightly different. You know, each tag is a little bit different. And I'm going to do 2 over here on this side. Kind of, they're working in a triangle here. 2 up close, 1 far away. And we'll do 1 here. and right in there. So it has a little buddy. Okay, so that's all of your red rhinestones. The last thing it needs is a little bit of Wink Stella. So we'll do that right away here. Let's give it a shake. Give it a little squeeze because it wasn't really working for me last time. Okay, now she's rolling here. So you could come in and really give a nice pop to these berries if you want. And then some nice splatter. Oh yeah, that was good. Now it's showing up. I need to go back and do our last tag. Didn't quite get it as much as I like it to have. Okay, there you have it. Very, very, I don't know, very regal. Anyway, super pretty and a different spin on a color palette. Tell me what you think about that cherry cobbler stamped off with the cherry cobbler. I'll show you my stamped again. I just love this. I think that's really, really gorgeous and would make something pretty. So there's the challenge, is to make that something pretty with that. Okay, moving right along. Our next tag. So if you're going with your tags, your stack, we're going to pull up the Evening Evergreen and the Mossy Meadow stitched rectangle. So this Evening Evergreen, just so you know, is 5.5 inches long by 2 3/4. So it's really kind of a nice, you know, you get 8 out of a, is it 8? Yeah, you get 8 tags out of a piece of paper. So 2 3/4 by 5.5. Yes. Okay. And then this one here, this is the same size as our, as this tag here. This is the same rectangle. Just to review real fast, it is about, it's a little more than 2.5. It's about 2 11/16 or 5/8 by 4. So, and you're also going to need some Designer Series paper. And so this, the one we're going to use for this one, the back, oh, look how cool the back is. All right, so that's the piece of paper we're using. And grab your label die that's in the kit here. And what I mean by label die, this is the leaf and label, so the holly leaf and that. And so you're going to cut this one out, okay? And we're going to put that on here. You're going to cut that out. You're also going to cut out the 2 needles, pine needle dies here. And that's going to be those 2 right there. So you need 2 of those, okay? And we're going to do some embossing. We haven't done any embossing just yet. So we will be embossing with the Wintry 3D folder. And this is the one that is, it's all the pine needles, the pine, you know, branches, okay? So first things first, let's shape our tag, then we will emboss, okay? So let's punch the ribbon slot first. Get that as close to center as you can. And I'm going to do this one. You can do either corner. I'm going to do just the straight angle. I like that one a lot. And so you can see here, you can twist or you can flip, and it will be the same. There's that. Now let's run this through the Stampin' Cut Emboss machine. So let's do label side up, logo side up. You could do it upside down too, but pop that in your embossing machine. So I'm going to use plate number 4 on top. And let me get my other plates out of the way here. So plate number 1 on the bottom, then the folder with the folded edge first, then number 4. Run that through. I'm using my mom's Stampin' Cut Emboss machine, and hers, it's nice because her handle doesn't fall off. My handle falls off real easy. Okay, so this is kind of the start of our tag here. And now this piece is going to lay right on top. So we're going to glue that one on. You could glue it on or you could put it on with dimensionals. I am going to just kind of center this on here so I have a little green showing on each side. And I have even top and bottom, you know, just make it look good. So you will have cut these pieces out of this piece of paper. So I'm going to set these aside. I have those done ahead of time. Get them all here. So this one, love this piece. Such a cool die. I like that the leaves are attached to the label. And then we have these two sprigs. Oh wait, no, these two sprigs, I lied. You needed to cut them out, but set them aside. They're going to be for another tag. But since this piece was going through the machine, you're going to do that. This is what you need to die cut. So now we haven't used, this is the favorite paper in the entire packet for me, your Evening Evergreen glimmer paper. You are going to cut, a small detailed leaf and a large. Okay, so you need those two. You can see, and while you're at it, cut two large and two small and little sprigs. I'll review that in a second. But these pieces are going to come in here. You're also going to need to take a look at one of your designer series papers. So I'm just going to kind of add these in, how they're going to go. They're not quite positioned just right, but they're close. You're going to grab this piece of designer series paper. It's a stripe, and on the back you have all of these cool leaves that you can fussy cut out. So I want you to look at your paper, and you can see I have these three. I've got, it looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I only need 3, and I'm going to take the ones that are from this side of the paper so that I have a nice chunk over here. If it turns out that yours are all 3 in the middle and you're not going to have a chunk, not to worry. There's another piece of paper we can use. But I just wanted to point it out. Use the ones that are to one side of the paper if you can. So you're going to fussy cut those with scissors, and then that is the only fussy cutting. So the poinsettias and these 3 holly leaves are the only fussy cutting that you'll be doing, okay? So, and these 3 are going to be for this. And we have a little more die cutting on this tag. And our die cutting for this tag is going to be, it's kind of pretty. I'll show you what I've done here. Is I'm using up some of the scraps of the red designer series paper. Okay, so if you remember here, we have this poinsettia print right here. And so what I've done is I've die cut the berries from one side and then flipped it over and kind of positioned this so that I grabbed some of the poinsettia on the other side. That way it gives me, my fingers are really dirty, you guys, and it's all from just stamping this. That gives me a little bit of variation on these berries. So they're going to have a little bit of a different look than what we've been doing. So those are the die cuts we need. So just find one of your scraps. You'll be fine to use that one. Okay, so before we glue this together, I'm going to paint it with my Wink of Stella. And you'll want that to dry before you try and glue that detail piece on. But that way, that little bit of Wink of Stella is going to peek through those berries. So we're going to do that. And we have some more embossing to do. Okay? So also from this scrap, so you did a couple of the berries on this end, right? You have the solid and the detail. And from the hollyberry leaves, or hollyberry dies, on this other far end, I want you to die cut one of these labels here. Okay, so our die cuts, let's just put them out there so that it makes it easy to see. So this is exactly what you're going to die cut. Okay, where's that the little details on the other side of the bag here. But what I want you to do is do those two, then flip this over and do it on the back side. Okay, so that you have the darker on that back side. So that's what you're going to die cut. Okay, so I have mine done. Right here, like so. Now, this piece here, we're going to emboss, and you could do Christmas wishes, or you could do season's greetings. I'm going to do season's greetings because I really like the way this one fits inside that label. The Christmas wishes fits, but it's a little tight on the word Christmas. I like it to have just a little bit more breathing room, more edge space. Okay, so this is in white. You could use Versamark. You pick the stamp pad that you like best. Okay, so center that. Give it a good stamp. Okay, now we'll emboss this. Let's see if I can get embossing powder all over again like I did earlier. I really did a number. Holy cow, it's still kind of gritty, if you know what I mean. Okay, so I'm going to use this handy dandy little tool from Halloween. Look, it's Spooky Treats. Okay, give it a little flick. Okay, we'll have that. Shut the lid here. And we'll heat emboss this. Again, I'm going to put it on top of a plate to protect your work surface. So I know sometimes when you emboss, it kind of, you know how it will curl your paper, but it'll also sometimes warp what's underneath your paper. That's why I throw a plate underneath when I'm doing this. And I have to kind of do it out of camera so that it will reach, if you know what I mean. So just grabbing a bone folder or something to hold on to this. Of course, I can't use a plastic tip or it'll ruin that. So here, I'm going to use my scissors. So here we go. Okay, the S on there got a little bit on the word greetings. It's a little
funky.
It's a little funky. My mom goes, funky? Exactly. But you know what? It's still legible. I'm going to go with it for this. I might, you know, tidy it up if I weren't doing a live. But you get the idea. Okay, so these are the elements we need for this tag. Let's bring in the original here so you can see it, and then let's get it laid out and all dialed in nice and tight. So here's what we're going to do. Now that our berries, the Wink of Stella, is dry, let's glue this to that. And again, just a little glue. You don't need to go over the top. It's going to stay down. Come on. I don't want it to like come. There we go. I just kind of want it to fall out of the glue here. Okay, there's my berries. And let's put some dimensionals on this. And because this is a piece of DSP, if it were cardstock, I might just do 2, but I am going to do 3 because I really don't want a saggy middle. Nobody wants a saggy middle. Okay, so that's ready. I might not have pulled that off too soon. Well, I did pull it off. I should not have pulled it off so soon. Okay, this one here, so our label leaf die cut is going to go down first. And I'm going to glue it, but I'm not going to glue this side over here. I'm basically going to glue the more label section of this. So a little bit of glue here. And I'm even going to do just a little bit of glue on the outer little frame here, because it has a tendency to kind of wiggle. Come on, just a little glue needs, there we go. Just a teeny bit. That way it will hold itself in place. And so I'm going to position this, not quite, I'm looking at about, you know, 1/4 of an inch on this end, and I'm looking to be even top and bottom, which means this is going to be hanging over the edge, but that's okay. Okay, whoops. And for my next trick, okay, had a little bit of glue coming out there. We don't want that. Okay, cool. Now I have access to get under there, if you know what I mean. So I can tuck in some of my leaves. Speaking of, this one's going to tuck in first. Okay, I got to get this other one out of the way because it's got exposed dimensionals. And I'm sticking in them. So I'm doing a little on the stem there. And tuck this one right underneath. So it's under your holly leaves and it kind of comes down to your corner here, that top part of your corner. It's going to be that one. Now let's do this one. It's going to be, so it's almost like if you can imagine how they would come together if this label weren't in the way. But this one's going to tuck right about where you can see it right now. Might be a little hard to see because of the green on green. I like all the greens in this tag. I think they're kind of a fun, earthy, Christmassy mix. So this one, like so, right about like that. Let me bring that up a little closer so you can see where that's going. Now we're going to cover all of that. So our berries are going to kind of, and you kind of want to put them in there. Let's put a dimensional in there. And I'm actually going to, I might have one extra dimensional on my season's greetings that might be in the way. But bring both of these pieces in at the same time. So this one's going to be right about there. And then this one, you're looking to take this one and center it. That's where this is going to kind of, you want it centered on the main label. Okay? It's looking pretty good. So that's going to go there. But I want this underneath. So I am going to pick this up and kind of move that just a little bit. There we go. Okay. Looking good. Now, the last thing is to finish things off with these cool holly leaves. And so you're just going to do 3 and just kind of tuck them in how you like. I think I'm going to use this bigger one up here. And I'm going to do the half up, half down trick. So a dimensional on the tip of the leaf, and then I'll glue the stem. That way the center right here where kind of everything comes in together doesn't get too clunky, and it doesn't get too, it doesn't start to get puffy in the middle there. Now we'll take these smaller ones. And this one, I'm going to do the same thing. We'll do the glue on the tip and the dimensional on, well, the dimensional on the tip, the glue on the stem. And that's going to tuck under the leaves that are part of the label die cut. Okay, so you get a little bit of greenery peeking through those right up there. And then this last one, you know, in working as a triad, will go right under there. So same drill, dimensional on the one end, and a little bit of glue right there. Okay. Okay, and there that goes. And in your stack of ribbons, you have some green, just soft cotton ribbon. And instead of doing a half hitch, this one I'm doing, I'm just going to tie it on.
There's a couple more.
Yeah, no. I was just wondering what time it was, if that was 11 or if that was noon.
It's noon.
It's noon?
I think so.
Oh, okay. We still have several more to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you have a fun, beautiful tag. And I didn't get mine very even there, but let's give these a nice trim on the end so that we don't have any, you know, you want a nice angle, helps it from fraying, and then you can use that to tie to your package. Okay, you know what it needs. It's always going to need it. So here we go. And just give it its bit of sparkle and shine with a little bit of Winkostella splatter. There you have it. I think this one's pretty. It's nice, and it has a nice kind of woodsy cabin feel to it. And it's nice for a man's package for their present. Okay, moving right along. It looks like we have 3 more to go. And so our next tag, I've lost my stack of cardstock pieces. Let's look at our next set. So our next, you're going to grab from Mossy Meadow, and you have a little piece of Pool Party. That will be for our next tag. And you're also going to need your scrap of this paper. So if you remember, you die cut, you know, up here on the one side. We're going to use this half right here. So with that half, let's just cut a piece, and we're going to cut a piece. We're going to make it be, it's going to be about, let's do it about 2.5 inches. Could be 2.5, could be 3, could be whatever chunk you have left. So let's say you have, let's do 2.25. It doesn't really matter. And then it needs to be 2 3/4 wide, because that's how wide our tag is, right? Okay, there you have it. For sure. There's that. And it looks like I missed a die cut when I was doing things, but this piece is a 1x3, and we're gonna die cut the label. So I'm gonna go do that since I didn't get mine done. So I'll be die cutting with you on this one. Gonna change the plates here. Get everything lined back up. in. Okay, got mine cut right there. Toss that out, put that over there. All right, so these are the pieces we need paper-wise. And go back to, you had 2 pieces of basic white. So we're gonna do some more stamping on here. This time our color palette for stamping our leaves, this is going to be Sahara Sand, and we're going to do crumb cake. I'm sorry, Sahara Sand and soft suede. I misspoke. Now, what I want to do, you guys, we're gonna double stamp here. So we're gonna stamp 4 leaves, 2 small and 2 large, all the same way, okay? Because they're gonna be for 2 different tags. So we're gonna double up here. So let's clean all of our leaf images because they have cherry cobbler on them, right? Get all that nice and tidy. So our stamping is going to be Sahara Sand for our first layer. Then the second layer of leaf for the detail image is going to be soft suede. Now, you could use crumb cake and espresso if you want, but you know, so we're just going for something a little bit different here. Going for some neutral tones, again, with kind of that woodsy cabin feel, a little different color palette. So let's see here. I'm gonna put the Sahara Sand here. Sahara Sand, this is my older pad. One of these days, Alice. Okay, so there's my small. And I like to do the first step, then the 2-step. I kind of like to work them that way. And I'm gonna turn my paper and just lay that second one right in here. Get it nice and close together. Okay, and let's do that again. Let's stamp another one of these. Nice and in there. And let's see, let's do this. I'm gonna do this on this other opposite corner here because I need to get 4 sets of berries. Whether you do it on this and a little bit of your other piece, but we're gonna need 4 more berries, stamp-wise, between our last few tags. Okay, let's get this small leaf in here. Okay, again, we're stamping for 2 tags. Now let's use the detail. I'm gonna close Sahara Sand so I don't accidentally use Sahara Sand. And I'm gonna use soft suede. Okay, just line these up. Oh, so pretty. Okay, while I have the small in my hand, let's get that one done. I could have juiced up my soft suede a little bit more than I did. That looks good. Okay, now the detail image. For the big guy, the big leaf. Okay. Alicia has to run. She says, Happy Thanksgiving. Well, happy Thanksgiving, Alicia. She probably popped off a few minutes ago. Yep, the replay will be up as a reminder. Plus, you have all the pictures that you can refer to. There's a few details that you might not see in the pictures. Okay, all right, good. There's that. Now let's stamp all the berries. So I'm gonna get these out of the way here for now. Okay, I'm gonna shut the brown, the soft suede. We don't need that anymore. And the berries for these are going to be done in Pool Party and Bermuda Bay. That's what I said. These tags are, you know, we're exploring some unusual color palettes here. So they're not just your traditional red berries and green leaves, which is great, but it's also fun to just kind of branch out a little bit. So Pool Party, Bermuda Bay, we need 4 between these 2 tags. They're gonna have similar color palettes. So the solid first step will be, for each of these, it's going to be the Pool Party. So let's just nestle that in there. So we need 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's that. And let's get these each, hit each of these with the Bermuda Bay. I find this to be a very user-friendly two-step stamp set. Sometimes they're a little trickier. This one is pretty easy, especially if you use larger blocks. I mentioned that earlier. Okay, let's get this last one. Voila, beautiful. Okay, so now all of these are going to need to be die cut with the open images. Okay, I have mine done ahead. So for this tag, you're gonna need a large and a small, okay? And you're going to need 2 sets of the berries, okay? So I have 2 sets of those right there. And the pieces that we did earlier, we got together earlier. And then for this one, you can stamp Christmas wishes or you can stamp season's greetings, either one. I'll stamp Christmas wishes. Okay, and this is stamped with Bermuda Bay. So just add that right to your label here. Good. I'm a little low, but that's okay. That's okay. Handmade, right? Now let's assemble things. But what we do need to do before we assemble everything, let's shape our tag. So we'll do our first step, which you know I like to, excuse me, everything's like sliding away here. I like to do the ribbon slot first. Give it a good punch. This punch, the Very Best Trio, is being carried over, so it will be available after this mini catalog concludes, which is nice because it's a great basic tool. I really like the ribbon slot. I'm like, that's a cool feature. Okay, we're going to emboss this one as well. So our sandwich, I'm just gathering the plates here so I can get everything together. Plate number 1. I have the die cut machine is kind of around the corner on the table here. And plate number 4, and let's set this in the embossing folder. What's nice is this embossing folder fits tags beautifully because you can get full coverage. Folded edge in first, pop it in the machine, and here we go. Gonna run it through. Okay, here we are. There's our embossed piece. Now we can assemble, and this tag will be done right quick. Okay, so this piece here is going to lay across the bottom like so. So we'll just glue that on. It's pretty paper, you guys. Pretty paper. And I'm gonna leave about a 1/2 inch down here at the bottom. I'm really gonna put this panel down towards the bottom. Okay. Now we need a few sprigs. If you remember when we were cutting the green earlier, so from your green vellum, or your green glimmer paper rather, you will need a small little pine sprig, pine bough. It's just kind of the needles, and then the larger piece as well. Okay, so that's what we're gonna need. Let's go ahead and put some dimensionals on our leaves here and start to create our tag. So I'm going to use 2 bigs like so on each one. And I'm going to use the berries as well, but I'm going to kind of have to play with whether or not I need my dimensional on the back of the berry or if I need the dimensional on in another location. So let's just kind of lay some of this out. Then we'll know exactly where those dimensionals need to go. Okay, so my larger leaf, look, I have a nick out of that, but that's okay. It's going to get covered with berries. I'm going to kind of reach this one across like so. And then this one is going to kind of play down into this corner. So what I've done with these tags is I've tried to arrange the leaves in different patterns. Sometimes they're like this, and some, like on the pink red tag, they were more vertical. So each time it's a little bit different. So this is going to lay over the top of this, okay? But our berries here, they're going to, and this is where you kind of go, okay, so should I put dimensionals on there and then glue this one? It just kind of depends on how everything falls into place. But I have a nice clustering of berries like so, okay? So I think what I can do is I can feel I have a dimensional right here, but I don't right there. So I am going to actually put my dimensional on that so that I'm not, you know, getting them crooked. You've heard me use that expression before because I want them to lay just right. And we'll put this one here like so. Okay. And then we have the other berry is going to come in this area. And it's going to come out a little ways. So I am actually going to put my dimensional over here and I'll cover that up. Again, every now and again, you have to put your dimensionals on, you know, in an unusual way than what we're used to doing. So now this is going to lay flat, but I need a dimensional right there. So we'll put that right there. And then a little bit of glue on this end. Now you could, like we've done before, Big Mac that and set this one up as well, but you know, it's just up to you what you want to do. And we'll just bring that right up and I'm going to center that. You could center or you could go off to the side. It's up to you, whatever you'd like. Now we have a bit of decor happening on this tag. This one's going to come in here and you have this little sprig. It's going to come up in here. But in your smalls bag, we have one more piece of berries. And these are from the elements, the wooden elements that are part of this sweet collection. And that's going to go up in there. So you can choose. Let me bring in the tag here. You choose if you want to leave them as like natural wood color or you want to color them with your blends. And so what you could do is like take Pool Party and Olive and color the wood. So this wood is totally colorable. Colorable? Is that a word? It can be colored. So I am going to take the olive, right down the stems here. Okay. And then a little bit of the Pool Party on the berries themselves. So you decide if you want to keep them raw or if you want to actually use this on another tag and color these red. Totally up to you. You are the artist. Okay, so now to put this together, this is going to get a little bit of glue, and I actually think, if I remember correctly, this was a little long, so I actually snipped some of that off. Believe it or not, it will cut with your scissors real easy. And then I'm going to come in and do just a little glue on some of these berries. A little bit of glue here. It doesn't need a lot. You could even use glue dots on each of these berries, and that would hold it in place nice. Okay, so a little glue action. So I'm going to pull that one out so you can see. Now this is going to set right inside some of that negative space there. And I'm just going to kind of give it a push so that it will adhere, kind of stick. And a little glue here. And we'll tuck this under here. Okay, kind of fill that little empty spot. And we'll repeat a little bit of this green glimmer down here at the bottom. Okay, so this tag is almost complete. It needs its top. And so speaking of its top, this is what we're going to use. So pull out one of the threads here. Actually, keep this one intact. This one's thinned out to where I want it for one of our other tags. Go to your piece that we haven't done anything with before and pull out one piece. Just one piece. Olive's off to a luncheon. Awesome. Pick up the end, Olive, later on, and you'll be set to go here. Okay, so I pulled out one of those. Now let's use this. We have another piece of the braided trim here. We're going to pull all of the pieces apart. So we're going to deconstruct this entire piece. So there's one. It's going to take us a second here. 2, if I can get there. You know, the first few take a little bit more time, and then once you get going, the rest of it comes apart pretty quick. Okay, there's 3. Keep going here, keep going. Okay, I'm trying to move a little faster just because we still have 2 more tags. I just got on a roll, you know. Okay, so now that we have these taken apart, now we'll hold them together. I know it seems kind of counterintuitive. Wait, you just took it all apart? But that makes it much easier to fray them than to sit there and pick them apart and comb them apart. So just stack them side by side on top of each other. And they don't have to be totally even, but in the ballpark. Ballpark is good, right? 1 more to go right here. And so I'll put these through, and this is actually going to be easier to put through than you think because we have a ribbon slot. So no half hitch on this. We're putting the whole thing, but do fold it in half because it is going to be easier to put through folded in half than all of the uneven ends. But we're not going to half hitch. We're just going to take half of that and bring this all the way through, okay? And we're just going to take those ends and fold this in half, and then we'll tie it with a piece of the linen that we pulled out of the silver threaded twine. Okay, so take that, get those even, tighten it up, and then you can even kind of pull these apart to slide that knot down just a little bit. And I'm going to knot it. I'm going to double knot it so it doesn't come loose. And then we'll tie this into a bow and we'll be done. And you can flick this with Wink of Stella, but for time's sake, I'm gonna just kind of get my threads here. And then I like to kind of run my fingers through to bring these together as one so that it's one nice grouping of, you know, ends there. And if you need to even up your ends, do that, which I need to do just a little bit. There we go. And there is number 7, folks. That's our 7th tag. Okay, here we go. We're moving right along to number 8. Number 8 is just a stitched rectangle of Sahara sand. The size on this, for those of you cutting your own, it's about 3 3/8 by 4 3/4. That's the size of this stitched rectangle. And if you remember from, we did some fussy cutting from this piece of paper here. So we're going to use this we're going to use this side right here. We're going to use that. If you don't have enough of that, cut it from this paper here, okay? So speaking of this paper, what are you going to cut from this? So for this tag, this is what we need. You're going to cut the small open leaf and the large open leaf. So if you did both of those up there, you would have a nice chunk on this side. So it just really depends. Both are going to look great. It just depends on how your holly leaves laid out on this paper, okay? But you have options. Hopefully that makes sense. If that's not clear, just shoot me a message and I'll help you through with it. Okay, the other thing you need to die cut are 2 of the glimmer leaves. And so I have a large right here and a small. And so these are going to glue to their respective leaves. Again, you can line them up exact, or you can make them just a slight bit off kilter, askew, however you want to say it. I'm going to go askew because that's just kind of me. And I'm not gluing everything down. I like them to have some natural dimension, that it just kind of lifts automatically. A little bit of natural curl and whatnot. So there's that one. And we do need to cut our piece for this, and we'll get to that in just a second. We'll get there. We'll get there. And I should just bring in the tag so you can see it. Oh, novel concept. Okay, here we go. Pop that one on. Again, you decide how well you want them lined up. There's that one. Okay, so those are set. Now, like I said, you're going to cut a piece off, and we're going to just run a piece that's going to go straight across our tag. So we're going to cut this piece Let me bring in the original here.
Call from San Jose, CA.
So it's going to be, the phone's going. It's going to be 3 3/8 inches wide, okay? And it's going to be 2.5 inches tall. And like I say, you could cut it from either end. I think I'm going to use this one for this tag just to be different. So it's going to be 2.5 inches tall by 3 3/8 inches wide. So 3 3/8. Okay. All right, so this piece, and we will have this tag put together pretty quick. So we've got a piece there. We're gonna do a little bit more die cutting. So find some red scrap. You have some scrap handy. So you'll cut the solid berry, and then remember earlier you cut that piece of red glimmer. That's gonna go right on there. So these are gonna be our berries for this card or tag. I keep calling them cards. They are tags. I know that. Okay. A little glue there. Let's put these together. Okay. Looking good. Kind of squeeze that with my thumb to get some of that glue out of there. Now I took my scissor edge and I distressed this. So I'm distressing the long sides. Just real fast, just to give it a real rustic feel and look. Okay. So there's this piece. Whoops, real rustic there. I tore it just a little. That's okay, not to worry. It's part of the look. So, and that's going to glue here. But before we do that, we're going to do a little stamping on this. Real simple. Let's do Christmas wishes. Let's see if I can speak clearly. This has Bermuda Bay on it, so I'm going to clean it. And I'm going to stamp with Evening Evergreen. That Evening Evergreen will tie nicely in with the Evergreen Glimmer. Okay. And I'm going to stamp this kind of like we've done some of the others. It's going to have a right justification right down at the bottom. Okay. Nice clean stamping. Don't overpress. That's better than, remember on my Joy a few tags back, I pressed too hard. Now I know where I can set this down, okay? And this is just going to kind of hug right above that word Christmas wishes. Okay? And bring in a crumb cake or an olive, it doesn't matter, but give yourself a little bit, whoa! Or give yourself a lot of splatter. So have a little splatter. It went wild there. And your very best trio punch. Give yourself a ribbon slot at the top center. That's all the punching for that. Now let's put our tag elements together here. So this one is going to kind of swoop this way. This one's going to go up. And then the berries are going to come right in here. Pretty tag. So when you get it up and kind of see the dimension, my original, I did it with the stripe. So you could do either or, but you do need a couple pieces, and we cut these earlier. Remember, we cut these a while back. They're for this project here. They're going to add just a little bit of variation in there. Okay. So let's do our half up, half down. So half up with the dimensional, and then the stem end down. And that's going to come right in about there. Okay, same thing with the big guy. Half up. About the glue and the ink all over my fingers. Half down. And that's going to swing across the bottom here. Now our berries, one should be plenty on this. And it will set just kind of right in here. Nice. Classic look on this. Now take your little green sprigs here that you have, and we'll just fill in a little bit of this empty and let them curl up for a little dimension. A little natural kick to them rather than gluing them all down. There's that. Now for our top, remember this piece that I said we're not going to pull any more out of that? So this is your silver threaded twine that's been thinned out. Okay, we will put that right through the top here. It's almost easier to fold it in half so that you don't have all those raw ends trying to get through this ribbon slot, but pull all that through. Oh, the silver doesn't want to go in. Shoot, Queen. Okay, we're going to fold it in half again. We're going to try again. I'm not doing a half hitch. I'm doing the same thing on the other one. Is I'm going to pull that through, fold it in half. Okay, it just might depend on how easily it goes through for you. And then you have a beautiful piece of silver cord here, and you're going to tie that in a bow. And I like the way this silver cord, this is from a different pack of, so you get a spool of gold and a spool of silver, and they're in the annual catalog. Just a nice classic, you know, cord to have on hand, especially for the holidays, I think. I really pull it out for them. Okay, so there is my finish on this one, and you can give it a flick of Wink of Stella as well, but for time's sake, I'm gonna just skip that for now. Do shape your cord, get it just to the way you like it. Okay, and if you need to even up your ends, I'm gonna do just about that, and I think I will even out these ends as well. Good, there you have it. Christmas wishes, beautiful. So either, like I say, either paper will work. It just depends on what you want to do. That was tag number 8. Our 9th one, we have already done the stamping. And if you did the die cutting earlier when I said cut 3 of these, there's the last ones that we need, the last 2. So this is what I was talking about. On one of our earlier tags, I said cut 3, but you might not have, but we're gonna do it the same as we did that earlier tag where we didn't do the whole section. We're just gonna use these leaves here. So we're gonna need 2 of those. And we stamped earlier on our piece of paper, we already stamped the things we need. So we need a small and a large and 2 like that. And you need your papers from your kit. So these are the last 3 pieces. So you have this is 2 3/4 by 5 1/2 Sahara sand. This is 2 1/2 by 5 1/4 basic white. And this is the stitched shape from Stylish Shapes. It's the circle, and this one measures, for this last one, for those cutting, is 2 1/2. So it's not the largest, it's the second largest. So that's what we're gonna need. I feel like we have a really, with all this stamping off, it's kind of busy here. Okay, so let's shape our tag, then we're gonna do some embossing. So bring in your very best trio punch, and don't do the ribbon slot because we're gonna be layering. We learned that earlier, that if we're gonna layer, we're gonna actually do the ribbon punch last. But this is gonna be, you decide what shape you want. If you want the angled edge or if you want the curvy edge. I'm gonna do the angled. Okay, so I'm gonna punch both pieces, the Sahara sand and the basic white. Such a great punch. Love it. Love it. Okay, don't go too far. Keep it nearby. What we're going to do is this piece here is going to go through the embossing folder. So with your wintry folder that we've been using, let's go ahead and put that in here. Run it through. Again, plate number 1 on the bottom and plate number 4 on top. Okay, zoomed that one through. And like the little bit of distressing we did on our last tag, we're going to distress just this bottom edge. And this is optional. You don't have to do this. It's just kind of fun. Vary things up a little bit. Okay, so a little rough edge there. Now we'll glue this onto our backing. Center that on there, so classic layer. Bring in your slot part of the punch. Now we can add that hole. Okay, so this is where it's a little trickier because I don't have a whole lot back there to get it nice and straight up against that bumper, but it does, you can do it. So there's that. Now let's take care of the top so that we have all those pieces kind of out of the way and finished. You have a piece of gold cord. You have a piece of that, another piece of this gorgeous stuff. And let's pull a few pieces of this. So let's go ahead and pull out 2 pieces from our threaded twine here, our silver threaded twine. Such pretty stuff. And I don't have any, this is it. This is all I have left. Okay, so 2 of those. So also from your smalls bag, you have one little tiny thing in there. You have a Jingle Bell trinket. And that's going to be a little touch on here. This is the one thing that you might not see in the pictures, but there is a little Jingle Bell trinket in this. So have that handy. Let's do the same thing we did on our red and pink tag. Let's put this larger piece of ribbon through first. Okay. And then we'll do those pieces of linen thread, or the silver threaded twine. Let's do both of those in here. Get over here. Put those both through. And they're going to have to be trimmed. They're a little bit longer than this piece, but that's okay. I'm going to fold these so I can get them through easier. All right, here we go. Good. Now we're going to tie that with the gold cord. So get your gold cord. It's kind of in the right place. Just kind of happened. It just kind of rolled right into place. Okay, so there's that. Now don't tie it off just yet, but let's move it down. Let's get it centered. Okay, just the way you like it. Now let's put that Jingle Bell trinket on one side. I almost dropped it on the floor. Okay, so Jingle Bell trinket, tie it one more time. And then tie your bow. And that will finish off the top of our tag. Makes it nice and special and fancy. And I'm a little lopsided, but I'll trim my ends here. Okay. Cute, 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 cute. Grab my scissors, even that up. Okay, beautiful. And then let me even up these ends as well. They're a little long. So we'll just get those similar in length here. And then these need to be, well, I need my big ribbon scissors. They didn't quite want to go all the way through. Okay, get a good angle on that and it'll help with the fraying as we mentioned earlier. Okay, now we can sweep all this off. Now we have some last stamping of the class to do because all of these elements are going to go on here. But this is where we have quite a bit, and let me bring in the original. I'll slide this one off to the side. This is what we need to replicate. So I think it's easiest to put the from our home to yours first, and then we can kind of build up from that so that we know where it is. But you can do it in any order. So I'm going to stamp with Bermuda Bay, Sahara Sand, and Soft Suede. So I'm going to stamp with Bermuda Bay first, okay? And let's clean that because that's not the right color. From our home to yours, or you could use the to friends near and far. Okay. So this is just, and you're going to work it off to one side, okay? It's all going to be moved over here to the edge, okay? From our home to yours. Now, let's do the ampersand. And the ampersand is going to be in Sahara Sand. Yes, I agree, Jen, that both are invaluable. I like them both. Okay, so I can see from here, I'm going to put my ampersand right above the word from. A little bit past the word from. There's that. Now I'm going to nestle the joy right next to it. I think it needs a clean though. And the joy is going to be in soft suede. You know, I think this is the first trio punch I've bought in a very long time, Jan. But, you know, I'm a sucker for a big angle. So that's why I went for it. Okay, so I overstamped my Joy last time. I pushed too hard. Let's see if I can do a better job. Okay, so the Joy is just going to nestle right in there. Hopefully it's straight. And yes, there is a little bit of a gap. And now let's do the piece right above it in Bermuda Bay. Voila. There you have the stamping for that. Okay. Again, there's some close-up photos of that you'll be able to take a look at. Or at which you can look to be more proper, right? Now let's put it all together. Let's put all the pieces together. So I'm going to put this piece on first with dimensionals. And just make sure you don't get all the way over on that side because this is going to hang off the edge and we don't want that to show, the dimensionals to show. So I'm putting them over here. And right about there. Looks good, right? But make sure it's straight. Okay, good. Now at this point, this is where I want to do a little bit more. We're going to splatter some crumb cake or splatter a lot. That's a juicy pen, a juicy blend. Okay, now for me, it's easiest to layer in the big leaves next. So here we go. I know I've been putting them on the end, but this is on here. So I'm not going to put any because it's just going to kind of hang off the end. So I am going to frame this little cutout right there. It's going to frame the word from. And that's how I know where to put that one. And for this one, because it's going to hang down a little lower, I'm going to Big Mac the end. So that's getting 2 layers and then 1 layer up here. And again, I'm looking at kind of how I'm framing right around the words there. Okay, cool. Now for the leaves, like I did the other one, I'm going to put my dimensional on the paper, on this layer. It's just a little bit easier sometimes. And then pick your best berries, put them on front. They're going to come right in there. And then this one is actually going to go on with a dimensional, but it's going to tuck under the circle. But make sure they're not in the same orientation. Okay? So right there, looks great. And the last thing is, we have 4 leaves here. I'm going to actually cut one of these down. So I'm going to take one off. Where's my scissors? My little scissors right here. So I'm just going to shape and make a new leaf here. And just kind of tuck like that. Okay. And I'm going to do a little shaping on this side as well. Kind of like we did on that other one. We're winging it. And this one will tuck right back in here, if I can get it going. So that will be one. And then this is going to be, I actually, how did I do it? Did I separate it? Nope. Oh, I know what I did. Oh, shoot, I forgot, but it's too late now. I cut it with the paper up this way so that I could reverse it. Shoot, I wish I had done that. Okay. Well, that's okay. We're gonna do something a little different here. We're gonna cut this one off, okay? Kind of make our own shape. We're gonna tuck this one in here, like so, and we'll glue that. And then this one will tuck on top. That way you don't see that funny edge there and we hide everything. But I think that is what I did, is I reversed this. And so I put the die in, but I put my glimmer paper upside down and then put the die on it. And that's how I reversed my leaf here. But look, we reversed it just by trimming it and cutting it apart. But let's glue them in for sure. And of course, to finish this, it needs a little splatter, or even better, really come in and give these beautiful, brown leaves some glimmer. So here's that straight edge that we're going to need to disguise. No problem. We can do it. We're crafty. So there's that leaf. And now this one will come in right in there and cover all that up. Whoops, way too much glue. Okay, and we'll just tuck that under the berries to hide that raw edge. Cute, pretty, pretty. There you have it. And last, you know it, just come in there and bring these big leaves to life. And you can do a little more splatter, and there you have it. We have finished all 9, woof, fancy tags. So that's number 9. Let's go ahead and just take a real quick recap. There's 8. Here you can stamp the Christmas wishes or the season's greetings. Kind of a few more woodsy ones. Of course, I've got 2 here, but we only did 1. Okay, here's that one. And this was number 3 and 2. And then that's not quite 2 because we forgot that one. So anyways, there they all are. They're pretty. The photos are up of each of these. And then there are also some more bonus projects featuring this suite. And all you have to do is, if you're in Backstage Pass, type in hashtag Boughs of Holly bonus, and all of those will start coming up again. All right. Thank you, Sherry, for your comment. That's really sweet of you. I enjoy stamping with all of you. You make it extra fun. So do sign up for the calendar class. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be beautiful. It will be for 2023. And I will catch you guys a little later. Share your tags. I want to see what you make. Denise, you'll be over in 30 minutes. You got it. Hopefully I'll be set up and ready. Thanks, Marcia. Oh, good. I'm glad you already saw the bonus cards. Cool. Good. All right. See you later, folks. Bye-bye. Oh, good, Sherry. I'm glad you're looking forward to the calendar class. It will be good, for sure.